Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the Monday edition of the daily Gen AI news briefing with the team from GAI Insights, where we rate and we debate the importance of the latest enterprise AI news, giving it a final rating of essential, important, or optional. I'm Adam Rappaport, research analyst and tech wizard, and today I have with me Luda Kopakina, John Sviokla, Paul Bayer, Ankaj Handa, and our guest analyst, Alden Do Rosario, founder and CEO of CustomGPT.ai. Good to see you again, Alden.
Good to see you, Adam, and team.
CustomGPT.ai helps customers like MIT, Adobe, and Dropbox create no-code custom AI agents. It's super simple to use, has delightful customer experiences, and Alden, it's wonderful to welcome you for the first time as one of our guest analysts.
Thanks for having us.
Great to have you here. If those tuning along want to see the articles we're going to be reviewing today, you can go to our website, gaiinsights.com/articles. And with that, let's kick things off. Ankaj, please, with the first one for today.
Thanks, Adam. So the first one that we have for today is about audio-led Gen AI, and it talks about crossing the uncanny valley of conversational voice.
Yeah, so open sesame, a bit of a Pandora's box here. Luda, tell us about the news from Sesame. Have you given this a try?
Yes, I have given it a try. I really liked it. It's very fluent. It has no latency, and it's really keeps the integrity of the voice as it proceeds. So it actually is a great innovation. I rated it as important. I think this is an advance in conversational models. So behind it, there is an algorithmic innovation, essentially a different conversational speech model that has true transformers operating, that one has the audio, text and audio trained tokens, and then another transformer that just an audio decoder that they actually streamlined quite down to 1/16 of the prior versions of models, but still maintain the quality, but that's how they got the latency down. So I think it's a very notable innovation in this space, and that's why important.
All right, kicking us off with an important foray, Uncanny Valley voice system. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I was on the borderline on essential. I spent a fair amount of time talking to this thing last night, and it is amazing. I mean, I went down a whole rabbit hole of having a political argument with the thing, and and it was interesting. I was trying to figure out its quote unquote guardrails, and really interesting. And then I said, nah, actually, I was only, messing with you. And then that whole interaction was very natural about, oh, okay, well, it's just, I've never seen anything with, I know there's a company called Nuance out there, but this thing has nuance, and tone and speed. It definitely passes a Turing test. I mean, no question in my mind, so I don't know. I was going to even give it essential because when you start really interacting with it, it's like you forget you're talking to a robot.
Yeah. Oh, that's certainly true.
Yeah, pretty extraordinary. We got an essential and an important potentially. Alden, where did you land on this one?
I would say essential if it really works, right? So the big thing with the system is they look the same, but if it truly works, where it solves those really tough problems, like John said, then it becomes essential, right? If it is just making a minor improvement in the output quality, then it's just important to whoever cares for it.
I actually think it's a leap. I really do. It doesn't if you read the technical side of it, it's a new model, and when you interface with this model, it actually does work at the lightning speed. So I feel that they have cracked the code and moved us. It's a technical leap forward. So I can support Essential, John, but I thought it's not yet out there. It's still an introduction, so we will need to see. That's why I kind of put it on important. But I can support.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, there's a guy in TikTok whose name I'm forgetting now. I've been following him for years. He has a typing speed of 180 words per minute, and he's learned all the keystrokes for his major software, and it's breathtaking to watch him, create. And his personal productivity is so much higher than mine. So I keep forcing myself to go to these typing sites to get better. But having voice all on top of every enterprise app, HubSpot tell me what my calls are today. HubSpot get the report from last week. HubSpot think this thing is a massive trend line, I think, for AI leaders to think about productivity improvement for those high knowledge workers here. So for that reason, and Luda and John's thing, I certainly support Essential.
Yeah, and Ashish is saying that it's an enabler and can actually be paired with any intelligence. So that's certainly true and supports Essential, I think.
So I'd back off from Essential only that it is impressive. I think it's a little more nuanced than OpenAI's advanced voice mode. But I want to remind you that is a new neural network as well. That's a completely different model. So this is not really the first to market that's bringing a new architecture to advance the voice frontier. Voice has been something we've highlighted as the most, in some ways, important thing to be focusing on already. And this is really a product announcement. If they gave me pricing and an API I could hit right now, it would be Essential. I don't feel we're there yet. To Alden's point, we need to wait and see exactly how this pans out, how they bring it to market. It's very cool technology, but if they aren't aware of it till it's actually brought to market, I think our leaders are going to be okay.
Adam,
is that a fair call, or does someone want to push back?
Adam, you got the chalk. You got to feel the power of the chalk. So
I'm just asking. I'm democratic about this. I want a final word on it, though.
Okay, whatever. Come on,
no, Ashish, it's not an open source. So Ashish is asking, is it an open source? No, I don't think it's an open source.
I mean, it's certainly a
spell
check
feature. It is so amazing. I had such an incredible time talking with it today. Let's give it an Essential and move on.
But Adam, I think, see if the team agrees with it. I mean, to me, though, this is going to be, it's a component. This is a super spell check feature of an intelligence as a service, as an application, right? So it's either going to come from my trusted vendor or OpenAI, or they're going to embed it, or I'm going to put it in here. These aren't standalone apps.
But in some cases, Paul, the level that we are at, and it is going to be way better. So if you, as an enterprise leader, banking on voice as your interface to your staff, you should be. That's kind of the message.
Yep.
So from that perspective, it's essential.
Yeah, I
love Vivek's comment here.
Yeah.
The AI leader needs to try this out and understand where the frontier is.
Correct.
The thing that, just one last thing, and I've mentioned this in some of the other things, people don't appreciate how much information is in voice. Like, we're just talking about interacting with it. I mean,
pacing, tone, timbre, nuance, volume.
Well, no. That in addition, just before the pandemic, so 5 years ago, Rita Singh did a 60-second. She's at CMU, Carnegie Mellon, and she did a 60-second sample of my voice. She did my age within a year, my blood pressure within 5 points, my weight within 5 pounds, my height within an inch, a personality profile, a physical profile of my face, all from 60 seconds of voice. The room I was in, the unique attributes of the room I was in, it's just nuts. There's so much info there. Anyway.
Yeah. Fair enough. Essential it is. Thanks, Ankush. Let's move along to Perplexity.
The next one comes from Perplexity. Now they have launched deep research for enterprise data as well.
Yeah, let's see. Who did we have leading us off here? Alden, you get to introduce us to the new frontier in enterprise RAG, in a way. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is a little more than RAG. So this is the concept of deep research, where an agent is going repeatedly into your data to give you the answer that you want. So most of those here might have done the deep research on consumer data, like, the public data. It's available now from OpenAI, from Perplexity, from Grok. But what Perplexity is introducing today is the ability to do it on your own data. So just imagine putting a bunch of files into a Google folder and then saying, like, go to town on it, do deep research on this, data as such, right? I haven't tested it myself yet because it just came out, but the concept is good. I give it an important, not an essential yet, because Perplexity has not proven itself in the enterprise yet. So I'm really curious how many enterprises will pay the $40 a month per user per seat to connect internal data like their Google Drive or OneDrive to it. So that's what caused me to drop it from essential to important. As far as the feature is concerned, there is absolutely no doubt that this will have tremendous impact on employee productivity. Just imagine the amount of time people waste trying to get answers to data that is already there.
Yeah,
Even looking for files that are relevant is already a waste of time.
Exactly.
But to have so quickly unlocked deep research on your own data is certainly a big deal. Yeah.
And
Ludo, what do you think?
And connect it with the stuff out there. So put it in perspective as well.
Yeah. And
so Ludo, sorry, go ahead, Alden.
Yeah, these things are just going to get smarter. Like, remember, this is the worst deep research that we are ever going to have. So just imagine, like, having a folder with 500 of your PDFs and your data thrown in, and a deep researcher goes and works for like an hour or 7 days and comes out with a cure for cancer or something like that. That is what this is all heading towards.
Alden, I believe, though, I mean, this may be the first deep research that's shipping with Google Drive integration. I mean, OpenAI deep research doesn't go to my Google Drive.
Correct. Yeah. And for that, hats off to Perplexity. And, they're always like first in line. So that's why, like, I'm super impressed with it. Perplexity has not proven itself in the enterprise yet, though they are absolutely kicking it on the consumer side. So, that's why I had to drop it down to important, because it's yet to be seen as to what sort of adoption they can get.
But see if you agree with this, though. If I'm an enterprise of 5,000 employees, though, the people in my company are doing a lot of research, though. I want them to at least be aware of this.
Absolutely.
They may not do they may not get IT approval to do the deep research on my company data at Fidelity yet, but they should certainly be known that this is out there.
Correct. So this is definitely worth testing. I'm sure that there'll be all those enterprise security stuff, like who has access and, what data we are going to put into it, all of those. I don't call it the new RAG. Ashish asked a question, is deep research the new RAG? It's more like, it's more like agentic RAG, like where you're going back and forth between the data to solve a problem.
I love that. Agentic RAG, Adam.
Yeah. Ludo, what do you think? Important?
Important. I wouldn't put it essential yet. I agree with Alden, but it is cool. So Lucinda says, look, I'm already doing it with Gemini on my Google Drive, but you're not doing it with Gemini on your Dropbox or your files on your laptop. I think that's the ability of Perplexity to drive across the platforms. That's what I think they're going after, and certainly they will have a lot of takers in the mid-level, mid-sized companies where they are not settled on the like Microsoft or platform yet.
Yeah. And I don't think Google has this. Google has a button which says Google Drive, but I don't think it's truly doing deep research. It's just letting you select probably like one file. but that's not really deep research. Deep research is where you connect a folder with 1,000 documents and it's going back and forth, back and forth.
And I haven't been impressed with my Google Drive Gemini button in terms of finding stuff.
Yeah. So but it is an interesting area, right? That will have it has a lot of opportunity, and will be fought over for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And needless to say, like we'll introduce agentic RAG soon, exactly for this reason. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So still not important, huh, John? What do you think? I mean, sorry, not essential.
Yeah, I'm unimportant.
Great.
The domain is absolutely essential, but this one important.
Fantastic. Let's mark this one as important and move on along.
Okay, the next one that we have is a use case from OpenAI where they are building the future of financial analysis with NDEC.
Yeah, use case out of OpenAI here, John. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I was going to give this thing an important and certainly essential for anybody in financial services. We just continue to see the automation of professional work in a way that we haven't seen before this revolution. The thing that's interesting in this is, I mean, it seems it's incredibly powerful. It's taking different kinds of data, bringing it together. Financial analysis is such an important part of what so many consulting firms, investment banks, accounting firms, tax firms all do. And to have this high quality in the the language of finance, I think is really important. I think this also, Paul and I know Paul did a post on this. As we're walking down Broadway going to a client meeting, we were wondering, is New York City the next Youngstown, Ohio? And the amount of automation in the professional ranks, I think, is going to be massive. Which I think is going to lead to more leftist politics, but that's another whole conversation. So I was going to rate this thing as important, absolutely essential for anybody in financial services.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Important. Alden, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. For the reason that John mentioned, if somebody is in financial services, a lot of things are now changing, right? And previously we had talked about agentic RAG. This is very similar, but only you understand the data a lot better. And what that does is that opens up these AI data scientists, basically, right? Having an AI data scientist at your fingertips is like truly powerful. Uh, Again, the devil is in the details. Like we've been working on similar stuff for a while, and it sounds awesome, but to get it to actually work is like so difficult. So the proof will be in whether these agents can really deliver the outcome.
Yeah, what I liked, Adam, I'm agreeing with an important rating for maybe slightly different reasons. So this is what they call vertical Gen AI, right? So this is for financial industry. This company is specifically focused on evaluations and summarization in that industry, right? There's several angles that they did quite well. The devil is in the detail, right? Alden said, and much so in the financial industry. So they focus these agents on inconsistencies, on the footnotes where certain recaps are mentioned, or regrouping the financial statements and the like. So when you catch those, they can have significant implications for the financials, and that's what some of these agents are focused on, and they actually work against each other. So the structure behind it is quite intricate, and I think will be needed for every vertical type of system. So I think it's important from that perspective.
I agreed on important. I think although it is to a specific vertical, the idea, and we're just starting to see use cases out of OpenAI, of using O3 for the reasoning where you need it, but then using O1 for the vision to extract unstructured data like that, really representing these multimodal approaches in an agentic system is definitely something that everyone can learn from. Paul, you good with important on this?
I know we're running out of time. Let me make the last case for essential. I got my Tim back pocket here. One of the key people that AI leaders need to have on board is a CFO. CFOs live in spreadsheets. Big companies have 30, 50, 100 different people. All they do is analyze spreadsheets here. CFOs, publicly companies need to know that all the Wall Street analysts now are going to have agentic people pouring over their things here. So I think from that standpoint, it could lean thing. Luda, I really agree with your thing. This is a great capability bridge announcement, but it's the second half the bridge, Alden. Does this thing actually work? And we've been swimming in capability announcements for the last 3 or 4 years. So maybe I'm talking myself back to important here. The trend line is essential, but this one's important.
Yeah.
And what's interesting,
A little
Paul,
light on the details. Let's go with important and move along. Thanks, everyone.
It's interesting that I can imagine a world, Paul, where you're going to put in a submission for capital for expense, on a project, and you're going to have, this robot thought this robot thought this, right? You're going to have your little cadre of support from the robots.
Yeah, and I think I did a post over this weekend here. We have to get used to, our monkey brains have to get used to this world where 95% of cognitive work is done better by robots. And there's a lot of cognitive work in these spreadsheets.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much. Let's move along. Ankash, you're on mute.
Let's see if we can do a minute round, Adam.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah. So this comes from Eric Schmidt and talks about how AI could usher in a new renaissance.
Could?
This is me.
We've got an opinion piece here. Luda, why don't you start us off on this?
Yeah, even though it comes from a great source, right? Eric Schmidt is a former CEO of Google, a thinker, and the article reflects it. But it's about AGI, and it just talks about, how we define, half of it is definition of AGI, and then where we are relative to that, and in math and programming specifically. But it doesn't really add anything to AI leaders, I think. So optional, maybe triple optional in my book.
How about optional? Move to the next article.
Great title, important topic, poorly argued. Should have used a robot.
Alden, what do you think?
Yeah, the concept truly has, potential. I wouldn't make this article like essential or even important, but the concept is something that we need to really pay attention to. Till now, AI has mostly talked about synthesizing information, and now this is about creating new information, right? This is where if you can have agents that, again, for my cure to cancer example, that can take existing data, run new math, run new reasoning, and create new information, then that is something that people should definitely keep out for. Like, in all the transparency, that is what I'm shooting for with our own deep researcher. Create new information.
I think it's really well said. Kind of synthesis, and then synthesis is almost new information. New information can be analysis of existing information, analysis of new problem sets, which is kind of the whole deep research, the theme on it. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, sort of extracting the insights, per se.
Yeah, when you get into it, it's really interesting because a lot of people talk about this notion of a new thought versus a combination of old thoughts. Everything's a combination of old thoughts in a certain sense because you're always expressing it in something that exists. Right. So anyway, it's a
doesn't add much though, guys. To
optional. Move on. Optional.
Moving along. 2 more articles.
So the next one is a research paper which talks about chain of draft, thinking faster by writing less.
Yeah, John, you want to lead us off here? What do you think about the chain of draft?
Yeah, optional. Great. So we have a whole thing about different approximations, and um, as a writer, somebody who's written a lot. Yes, yeah, drafts are important. This thing I don't think adds a lot to our conversation in terms of basically I think it was opening the aperture of evaluation and going up level of abstraction. So optional.
I'm.
I agree.
Go ahead, Luda. You want to?
I agree with optional, but I love it. I was waiting for this to cut verbosity out of these responses, especially like when they are thinking, is a good thing because it eats cycles and we don't need it. So this is very good technique, I think, and hopefully will be well used, but optional. I agree.
Yeah, Alden, you
Yeah.
agree?
I would say optional, and I didn't get a chance to read the paper, but what would be interesting is can they make it think faster without losing any reasoning capability, right?
Yeah.
If you saw DeepSeek, it puts the thinking
Yeah.
steps, and if something like this can make it think faster without losing its ability to execute, then that would really change stuff. But
Yeah.
here is the key. Right now, the reasoning models are the worst that they ever will be. So we need them to get a lot smarter rather than faster. So, what I would really love to see in this paper is can they make them faster without losing out on being smarter?
Yeah, and the line it says there is, right, by reducing the verbosity and focusing on critical insights, it matches or surpasses chain of thought and accuracy while using it as little as 7.6% of the tokens.
Yeah.
Which is extraordinary, reducing cost and latency across various reasoning tasks.
Right.
So if they can increase accuracy while using fewer than 10% of the tokens, it's going to make a huge difference on the speed at which these things can more accurately, allegedly, get us reasoning tasks completed. So then we can even do more complex reasoning tasks at lower cost and faster. It's kind of a big deal, and it's cool research, but it's optional for our leader. On to the next article. Yeah, I think this is the home stretch.
The last one that we have for today comes from Intuit, and it talks about how Intuit's data architecture is powering agentic AI with measurable ROI.
Measurable ROI, Alden. Tell us about it.
And exactly like similar to the index one, right? This is an example where when you have some data, in this case, it could be Intuit QuickBooks or it could be your TurboTax. Does the AI truly understand the semantics of the data and then be able to act on it? Now, if once again, can they execute on it is the big question, right? I would rate this as important for optional for most people, and for people who are truly in the Intuit ecosystems, for them it will be essential. And again, I'm very hesitant with companies like Intuit. They are basically monopolies and they have no reason to innovate. So can they truly deliver the outcome, right? Can I go into TurboTax and say, find me all the tax refunds that or credits that I can get? That is something I am still like skeptical about whether these companies can execute on that.
So you think that this is an important development, though? Is that right?
Yep. It's important in the sense that it's again part of the agentic system, but they have to show the outcomes.
So are you rating this news as important or optional? That's what I want to know.
I would say
know your rating. Optional rating. Okay. Luda, what would you agree?
Yeah, totally. I was very excited about ROI and what they actually did. There was none of that. No ROI spelled out, and no like little example of what the capabilities of these agents are. It's totally optional in my book. A great title, but no substance almost.
That's a big optional from John, I see. Paul?
Optional.
Optional it is.
Right.
All righty. Ankaj, while you put together our final tally board, Paul, do you want to take us through the Learning Lab tonight?
Yes, we have our weekly learning lab at 7 p.m. I mentioned in our pre-call last week, we had Alden run through the different types of the deep researcher agent teams. That's a fabulous one. Tonight we have Hank from Brand Rank AI, and he's going to talk about in detail how Google, how search has really changed and being affected by it. And Brand Rank AI is a firm that's helping brands figure out how to do the SEO equivalent over in the large language models. And as we saw a few weeks ago at one of the presentations, the user is spending 2 to 3 times more time inside a Perplexity large language model when they're looking for products and services than they are in Google here. So not only do we have these truth engines taking people away from the initial query, now the user is actually spending more time in this here. So it's profound implications on the, whatever it is, $400 billion SEO market.
And Paul, I just published a case study where ChatGPT traffic is just 4% of our traffic, but 22% of our conversions.
Huh.
Just think
Wow.
of the implications of that. 22% of our conversions.
Really
and
impressive.
reasons you mentioned.
Okay, Ankaj, do we have the final board? John or Luda, can someone bring that up? Perfect. Here we go. All right, we've got the one essential Uncanny Valley from Sesame, 2 importance, and finishing off with the 3 optionals. Alden, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And thank you from the whole team to those of you who are tuning in and participating in the discussion. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Alden. Bye.